from the BBC World Service in association with ABC and All India Radio. This is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London, and last week we were in a cosy pub just a stone's throw away from the Oval. This week, broadcasting, bunkering down in my own living room, logistically really, before dashing off to another World Cup venue across the country. But there are raindrops on the window panes outside, and it is a time to get the heating on. Once again, alongside me, representing the ABC from Australia, it's Mr. Geoff Lemon.
Hello again, and lovely to be back for another episode. And they've all been comfortable surrounds, so we've had a tour of comfortable London locales.
And we welcome in person to the Men's Cricket World Cup party, Charu Sharma has arrived in the UK just in time, Charu, for the colossal clash between India and Pakistan. What great timing! And how is Manchester?
Chilly, grey and wet, but it is wonderful to be here, Alison, in the Salford studio. I must admit I missed some of the drama and excitement of wondering whether we're going to be technically capable in some corner of the world, but here we are. And I can't wait to get more deeply involved with the coverage of the World Cup. And I do look forward very soon, being only a few cities away, to all of us meeting together across the table and doing a special edition of Stumped.
Exactly, looking forward to that greatly. I gather you stopped off at Greece on the way, did you?
Well, I did, and couldn't be more sharper in contrast because it was wonderful, sunny, and just fabulous in Mykonos. But it's a distant memory now, isn't it? And I'm here talking about the weather, as just about everybody else does.
Well, I mean, that has been the focus of so many conversations, hasn't it? And it's been just an incredibly wet June so far. 4 World Cup matches have now been abandoned due to rain, the most recent being India's contest, or rather non-contest, with New Zealand at Trent Bridge. Geoff, have you been managing to keep dry? I mean, you and I got lucky, didn't we, the other day down in Taunton to watch Australia take on Pakistan. Got a whole game in.
Yeah, a whole game. Had a whole game on the weekend as well. So had Australia-India at the Oval in London, dashed down to Taunton for the Australia-Pakistan game, got on the overnight driving transport up to Nottingham to watch the rain out, and then back to London today. So we've been all over, and it's been hammering down everywhere. Particularly amused to see driving into Nottingham that it's the home of the National Water Sports Centre, which seems to be the entirety of the nation at the moment.
Yeah, London underwater is what we might rename this city. We'll take a closer look at the Australia team later on and how they're doing, and we'll pick up on some of the tournament's big talking points. But first, the World Cup is set for the latest chapter in cricket's biggest rivalry.
As far as Indians go and the Pakistanis go, I don't think they watch this game as a game of cricket. They want to get one up on each other, so it's more of a border rivalry.
And 100, and he leaps in the air with delight. Another 100 for Virat Kohli. He raises his arms and looks to the skies.
Carved over the top, could be out though, and it is! Down on the deep cover boundary, and how Pakistan can celebrate now.
It's another 100 for Rohit Sharma. One of the all-time greats in 50-over cricket.
Kumar turns the top of his run, and he's bowled him!
A huge cheer goes up for Fucker. What an effort that is. Terrific. What an innings.
Jasprit Bumrah, Faulkner on strike, and he's bowled. That's a terrific delivery, went straight through him.
So the bigger bill for LBW looks good, he's good! And listen to the Pakistan supporters.
That's gone up to India. Sarfraz takes the counter trial over. Pakistan win. Over the line, massive win. Great scenes.
Well, India versus Pakistan, always a massive occasion and one deep in political significance. And the tensions between these two South Asian neighbours mean that they don't play bilateral series against each other anymore, and therefore these matches only take place in ICC tournaments. Well, let's hear from former Pakistan captain Ramiz Raja, because he played 9 tests and 29 ODIs against India in the 1980s and 90s. That was an era when, yes, the meetings between the teams were much more frequent, but probably no less charged. He's been giving me a player's perspective on, from certainly the fans' perspective, what is the ultimate sporting rivalry.
It's a chance for you to become a hero because your performances against India, or lack of performances, will always be remembered by the fans. So it could be a quick exit for you career-wise, or it could be a lengthy period for you if you do well against India. It's about shining on the day. It's about how you absorb pressure. It's a special occasion. I think something to savor, something to rejoice, and something to look forward to.
Did you go into those matches with a real sense of,
so many more people are watching this than they normally would do.
Yeah, I mean, there's extra bit of pressure, and because of the political needle, it becomes that much more critical for you to score runs or take wickets, and the fans ask you not to fail against India, but you just got to enjoy the atmosphere, because you're guaranteed a packed house, and nothing can be better than that for you, because you want that stage if you're an international cricketer to perform, and you'll always get that again when you're playing in an India game.
When you talk about the political tensions, though, do you recall matches where actually encounters between India and Pakistan have become almost like friendship matches? I mean, I remember being at the 2011 World Cup semi-final in Mohali, and people were travelling long distances, people were hosting each other in their homes. It can be a force for good, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the cricket diplomacy term started, I think, way back in mid-80s during that 86 tour, when our president suddenly decided to visit India and meet both sides. I think there's a lot of scope through cricket. 2004 series in Pakistan, and according to the Indian journalist, we sort of promoted so much of goodwill that the folks that went back home to India were just raving about how hospitable Pakistan as a country is, and how good the fans have been to them. So, I mean, there is real hope and scope whenever India and Pakistan play. There's no animosity between cricketers as such. We speak the same language. Culturally, we're very similar as countries. It's the political thing. And I guess, that is the reason why India and Pakistan will always be special, because of the political needle.
So that's Ramiz Raja, who won the World Cup with Pakistan in 1992. And so this fixture certainly had a significance for the players, even just knowing that so many eyes are on it. And he makes an interesting point there, Charu, though, about cricketing diplomacy. And do you think that this match can help to bring these two countries together, even in the current political climate?
Well, Alison, I don't know about this one match. I mean, it'll certainly help to have people of the two nations together at the ground and wherever else they might be watching internationally, certainly not in India and Pakistan. But, Rambo, as we call Ramiz, is a very close friend of mine, for instance, and I value that friendship. And, so there's a lot of commonality, as he was also referring to, between the two nations. So, yes, I do personally feel it could easily be a vehicle for breaking these barriers between the two nations, which are just political and forced upon the people of the two nations. But, for instance, there's a lot of feeling in India about not playing Pakistan, which is why bilateral series are not happening at this stage. But, has any border tension lessened because of that? No. So not playing cricket with Pakistan, what has it achieved? To my mind, nothing at all. I mean, it's like trying to take candy away from Pakistan and not playing matches against them, but it really hasn't achieved anything. So why not go ahead and play? Because if you do play, I believe it can conversely bring people together. And there's every evidence to project the fact that the two nations do feel closer when there's any kind of interaction, whether sporting or cultural or in any other sphere. Perhaps business is what people are looking forward to. So yes, I feel that this interaction should happen. There's a large section of people in India, because of the border skirmishes, who are very against it. And they too, I suppose, have a point, because lives are lost, and it leads to a funny situation when you're playing sport. But, lives are lost in many other skirmishes between many other countries, but sport is not sacrificed. So I'm all for sport, and I think it will help.
In terms of the India-Pakistan match, and it's suddenly become, yes, I mean, of course, it's a must-win for either in terms of the rivalry, but for Pakistan, actually a must-win game in terms of the tournament. They can't afford to lose, can they? They've only won one of their first 4 matches of the tournament. They've been affected by rain as well. And Geoff, you and I watched them against Australia, and it was pretty much the case of the good, the bad and the ugly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was variation even within the one game. Mohammad Amir started bowling beautifully, and then at the other end, Shaheen Shah Afridi was bowling way too short and getting clobbered. Australia had 146 for their opening stand after 22 overs. They should have made 380, really. And then Pakistan pulled them back, and Amir was sensational, 5 for 30, and just kept foxing everybody all day long. And suddenly the rest of his team got on board. Wahab put his whole heart into everything. They restricted Australia, and then a couple of points in the run chase, they were cruising and should have got there, and then threw it away at crucial moments.
Charu, 2 wins from 2 for India. They're looking in good working order, aren't they? Apart from injury worry around Shikhar Dhawan, who scored that brilliant century against Australia. I have to say, the BCCI's tweet about his injury is the most polite tweet I've ever seen from a cricket board. It said, Team India opening batsman Mr. Shikhar Dhawan is presently under the observation of the BCCI medical team. The team management has decided that Mr. Dhawan will continue to be in England and his progress will be monitored. Well, Mr. Sharma, over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Yeah, well, they've done well, without question, India. And I wonder what would have happened with that India-New Zealand match. Of course, we'll never know because it got rained out. But considering what New Zealand did to India in that warm-up game, this could have been very close because New Zealand are pretty well balanced. But Shikhar Dhawan's loss for the moment will hurt because he's not only a fluent match winner at the top, but he's a lefty. Now, they can get KL Rahul as a replacement right at the top because there's no dearth of openers. In fact, they all played 3, 4, 5, 6 only because they're forced to. So if Rahul opens along with Rohit, that's not a bad combination at all. They like that spot. It's just that it's not a left-right combination. Now, there's a lot of people in the world of cricket who say left-right doesn't really matter so much, but I think it does because it forces the bowlers to change every once in a while and the fielders, and it does create at times some gaps or the other, and it does create more boundary balls. So that India will miss that opportunity. Who comes into the middle order? Well, it's a toss-up between Dinesh Karthik and maybe Vijay Shankar. Karthik comes in with a lot of experience. He's won matches for India. He can be depended upon. And Vijay Shankar, they say a lot about his three-dimensional ability, and that might, in England, be useful because if the conditions are, once again, useful for a bit of seam and swing, then he could give you potentially 4 to 6 or more overs with his medium pace, along with giving you some runs in the middle order. So India will not be happy with this shake-up, but they're not replacing Shikhar Dhawan just yet, and you can understand why. Because if he's fit enough for the latter stage of the tournament, and certainly for the knockouts, which India hope to get to, then they would rather have him than a replacement at this stage, even though Rishabh Pant is the nominated man. It's good to have him in England getting used to conditions.
From the BBC World Service, this is Stumped on All India Radio.
Well, we'll stay with India because there's been a big story this week away from the World Cup, because international cricket has officially seen the last of the man who did this.
It's hit high away into Castle Corner. We might not see it again. That's one of the biggest sixes of the tournament, I fancy. Running in optimistically, and that's heaved away for 6. Over Flintoff's head, bang, he hits it over long off. Well, he's down to long off. Yep, there's the third 6 in the over, 3 out of 3. He bowls a low full toss. There's another one, I think, carved away over point. Yes, it is. And Broad comes in again. He bowls to Yuvraj. There's another one, I think, high in the air. That's number 5. Trying to prevent this from going for 6, and Yuvraj goes for it. It goes over long on. He's done it. He has hit 6 sixes from the over. And poor Stuart Broad, that is one crushing experience for him.
Oh, that was an unforgettable moment. Yuvraj Singh hitting England's Stuart Broad for 6 sixes in an over during the 2007 World T20. I was lucky enough to be there for that as well. Yuvraj went on to star in India's victory in the 50-over World Cup in 2011, before receiving then the devastating news that he was suffering from lung cancer. Following treatment, Yuvraj returned to play for India and was part of the victorious Mumbai Indians squad at this year's Indian Premier League. This week, though, Yuvraj has called time on his international and IPL career, and I'm delighted to say that he joins us now. Yuvraj, welcome to Stumped. Tell us, why have you decided to retire at this point?
I just think it's been too many years on the path, and obviously, the body is not younger anymore, and it's been a lot of struggle as well, and there have been some great moments, but I just thought it was the right time to call it off.
Listening back to that commentary there, I mean, it brought a smile to my face, and I'm sitting here with Geoff Lemon as well, and Charu listening as well. What emotions do you feel when you listen back to something like that? Because it was a remarkable little passage, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's been a beautiful journey with a few ups and downs, and I can't really complain. Obviously, looking back, starting my career in 2000 against Australia in Nairobi in Champions Trophy, and then playing for last game for India in almost 2017. So, 17 years of international cricket, and on and off, 25 years of playing cricket, and I don't think you can play more of that. Especially for me. And I think in time, you have to decide, what's the best time to move on. And cricket has given me great memories, and And looking back to my career, it's been an amazing journey to be part of.
Hey, Yuvi, first of all, thank you again, for joining us on Stumped. I know you're on a bit of a break and this is the last thing you might have wanted to do. But I will ask you, Yuvi, and thank you, of course, first for giving us some fabulous moments on the cricket field. But apart from that 2007 T20 World Cup and the 2011 World Cup win where you played major roles, give us a bit of a surprise about which other performance you may want to remember as something really special.
Other than that, I don't think I have much performance.
Oh, you did? Oh, you don't have to be that modest.
I would say that, I think growing up, Test cricket was very special to me. I always wanted to play Test cricket. And, the first Test match, 100 I scored, we were 120 for 7. And from there, I scored my first 100. That was a very special knock for me because it was my first Test 100, as I said. And obviously, NatWest 2002, when me and Mohammad Geoff had that epic partnership against England. India had lost 9 finals before that, and we went on to win that one. And I think that got a lot of belief in the new generation of Indian cricket.
Yeah, well, you do remind us of some wonderful moments, especially that NatWest win back in 2002. That was so special. Yuvi, I will touch upon how you battled through the whole major cancer interruption of your career. So how hard was it while you were battling those problems to think that you will want to come back and play for India again? Must have been very rough, that journey.
2011, I was peak of my career, and then getting diagnosed with cancer was quite sad because, when you are peak of the career, you're 29, 30 years old, you're on top of the mountain, win the World Cup, man, you can't ask for more. And then you just drop from the sky. So it was very unfortunate, but that's life. It shows you that you're a normal human being, and I didn't have a choice. And when you don't have a choice, you just have to fight.
Well, you've made a lot of people very happy along the way, Yuvraj. Thank you so much for joining us on Stumped and reflecting on what has been an incredible career, all the twists and turns and the ups and downs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
From the BBC World Service, this is Stumped on All India Radio.
Well, that's all we've got time for on Stumped on All India Radio. Keep in touch with us on Twitter. We're at BBCWS Sport with the hashtag BBC Stumped. My thanks to Geoff Lemon and Charu Sharma, and to you for listening. Now, don't miss next week. One will be at Trent Bridge to welcome Jim Maxwell to the World Cup party. Maybe he'll bring some sunshine with him. Until then, goodbye.
Stumped is a BBC sport production for the BBC World Service in association with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and All India Radio.